Okay. How you doing, man?
Good. Hanging out, trying to survive in America.
Die.
I was jogging today, and I decided to go a different route.
Okay.
Um, and this is kind of silly, but
Yeah.
it's just what I noticed, like that happens instinctively. Like I always try to pay attention to what kind of thoughts come to me as throughout the day.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
I was jogging through this new part of town, and then I realized that like a new thought unlock is, um, when you jog, you dress bummy. I'm in like bummy shorts,
Right,
and
right,
dirty
right.
sneakers. I'm in like a sweaty t-shirt. I look like basically shit because I'm just running.
Looking like
Um,
fucking Tom Hanks from
right.
fucking Forrest Gump.
And I haven't gotten a haircut in a while, or I haven't like groomed, like
Uh-oh.
got my beard. So I always think it's like my thought is always like, yeah, I wonder if ICE will just pick me up. Like, and then it's like, okay, well, how would I
Yeah.
react? Because the problem is we're from New York,
Yeah.
so my default interaction with strangers is very New York,
Yeah.
and I don't know how that plays one in Texas.
Right.
Two, if someone's trying to interrogate me in a way or like
Yeah.
harass me in a way that I feel like is not justified,
Mm.
right? Because if you're speeding and a cop pulls you over, they got you. Chill
Yeah, yeah.
out. He's gonna be an asshole. You have to eat that.
Yeah.
But if I'm just jogging and someone tries to pull some like immigrant ICE bullshit on me, I'm gonna want to like, because
Yeah,
one,
you're
I
gonna
know I'm American.
yeah.
I was born in this country. I'm super American. I'm pro America across the board. So even if someone's just trying to question me, I
That's very
perceive to myself,
offensive. Yeah, that's very offensive.
oh, right, yeah, exactly. But that'll probably just make things worse too,
Yeah.
right? So anyway, like those are the things that were playing in my head on my job. So just like, oh, I'm running in a new area, right?
Yeah.
Like a new trail. Because usually when I run, I see the same neighbors, the same people, and they kind of just know me.
Yeah.
I'll stop and talk for a little bit, whatever, chop it up. But now it's like, oh yeah, I've never been around here before. I wonder what will happen if some smoke appears. And that's just interesting because I would not have had that thought 2 years ago,
Yeah.
4 years ago. And it reminds me of like, you know, that changes the way you move a little bit. It's not a big deal. I
Yeah.
mean, it is a big deal in the country, but for me, like this isn't like changing how I live my life, but it is a consideration,
Right.
right? And that's what I try to. It reminded me of like how I try to explain to people that have asked me, um, like when I've had conversations with white people and they ask me or they try to bring up like the black experience in America,
Yeah.
which I always say like one, I'm not black, so I can't speak to that experience,
Yeah.
but what my friends have told me is even if day to day it's the same, jumping on the same MTA, going to the same job interview, the same shit we're all going through in this country, they always have to have that like consideration of,
Yeah.
because I'm this way,
Yeah.
things might go a certain way.
Way. Right.
How will I handle that? And that just takes up space in your brain, right? That makes you react a little slower, or that makes you just see the world slightly different.
You might be more
So it's just
hostile,
you might end
just
up being more defensive, yeah,
yeah.
hostile, defensive than normal.
Eh,
You might be more off putting because you
yeah.
don't want to get up. You don't want to enter a situation. That's what some people don't understand. Like sometimes, because I've had friends tell me this, which is like, sometimes someone will try to interact with you
Mhm.
and people just assume that the default behavior, especially outside of New York, in New York, this is not the case, but like in Texas or other southern states, that like hospitality is the default. It's like, oh, if someone's being friendly and talking to you, then just be friendly and talk back. But the thing that they don't realize or they never take into consideration is that's kind of a place of privilege. And I only say that because when someone what I've been told is, okay, this white lady goes up to you and wants to have small talk about the groceries. Depending on who you are and your experience, you have to take in consideration. What if this conversation goes left? Is better if I just don't even talk to them. Like
Mm.
I rather not even entertain the
Yeah.
conversation because if it goes left, the risk of this not going well is way higher for me than it is for the other person. So it's just not worth
Yeah,
having
of
the
course.
dialogue. Right?
Yeah.
There's just no point. I don't know. Anyway, these are the just found that interesting.
Yeah, I mean, to backtrack and talk about the ICE situation, it's crazy because like America's supposed to be a place of freedom, right? Like that's America's biggest brand, right? Freedom and stuff. And the fact that you have to think like that,
Freedom.
yeah, that's the fact that you have to think like that is to me, it's like, you know, it's clearly just, um convenient. It's only convenient for the people of privilege. But I heard that these guys, the ice dudes, they get like almost like a six-figure salary, and they get like a contract bonus of like 50,000 or like close to like 80,000. It's nuts. It's like, yo, where's this money coming from? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, oh,
There's definitely money.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
there's
America
definitely
has
money
it.
flowing in.
America has it because like if they're paying that much to enforce this department, it's like, yo, that's crazy. Like that's how much money's being withheld from the citizens. And yeah, it's pretty nuts how they got this dynamic going on. But you know, what you were saying about like perspectives and experiences, yeah, I finally understood that in high school. Shout out to my boy Kevin Cohen, Jamaican dude, one of the coolest dudes I ever met. He's first of all, he's the coolest guy, very like non-hood, you know what I mean? Like he's very like just chill, you know what I mean? Not your typical what you would think what your stereotypical what you think of what a black person would be. Very chill, right? But the thing is he's like super black. He's like Wesley Snipes black, you know what I'm saying? Dark skin or whatever. Um but he was always on his shit. He was always like, um, he got like electrician job at during high school. He got a car and stuff. So
Let's go.
yeah, but like mentioning his skin is gonna come into play in my story. I didn't just throw that out there just to say
Yeah,
that. But
yeah,
so
yeah.
he may look intimidating, but he's mad chill, right? So I noticed throughout high school, he was all like, "Yeah, man, I got pulled over. I got pulled over." Like he always used to be like, "Goddamn," he always be like, "Goddamn cops." Bro. Like I'm just like in my head, and I'm like, bro, you're getting pulled over every day. Like that's not real. Like what do you mean? Like maybe he's just saying that. That's just to say. I never understood that at the time, and I was just like, "There's no way you're getting pulled over every day, bro." And then it hit me after high school. I think I was like maybe like 22 or 23 at the time. Um, this is way after high school. I had a certain crew of people that, they were getting money, and like it was to a point where like, oh, like, yo, just take my car, take this, or whatever. So one of my homies just got like this new old school E-Class Mercedes, and one of my homies that was with us at the time, his name was Farrington, and Farrington was also black. So my boy just recently got this car, and it
I,
was
I met Farrington, right? Or
yes, you met
yeah,
Farrington. He was
he
the guy.
designed, right?
Yeah, so he was the guy that I ran with that did the Manny Fresh parties, and he
Yeah,
pretty much
yeah, I
got me
remember.
started. He got me started in that whole like do it yourself DIY kind of movement. And if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have thought about doing Fortune Locker. Put it like that. Like that just kind
Right,
of like,
right.
you know, that kind of like independent entrepreneur kind of mindset. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, so he was there. My boy was with the car, lent me the car, and I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna take Farrington home because he's on the way." So it's me driving this car, and it's fresh, like temporary plate still. It's not even like fully registered. And mind you, I've been driving at this point in my life. I've been driving all the time. Never got pulled over. Never got harassed by cops. If I got pulled over, it was because I was actually on my cell phone. Like you know what I mean? Like it was something that I
Right, right.
clearly did that I was wrong, right? So out of nowhere, I get right up to Atlantic Ave. You know where the Carnegie Hall is in Brooklyn. I
Mhm.
get right there. There's like that intersection, right where the theater's like on the right side. Yo, D's just pulled up on me, detectives, and pulled us over. They claimed the plates were fake. We got taken into central bookings. I went through put through the
Oh man.
process, and I'm sitting there. I'm just like, at first I was just like, oh man, I'm blaming my boy because he was just like, yo, he must have got like some bullshit plates. But then I actually thought about it deeper. I was just like, why did I get pulled over? And it was because I had a black dude sitting in the front seat with me. I could argue that if I was by myself, that would never happen. And it made me think about Kevin and all the times he said that he got pulled over all those times. I was like, wow, he was really getting pulled over all day, every day. Like, this is what this is why you can't speak on other people's experiences because you would never understand what they go through every day. And, I'm glad you brought that up because I think a lot of people, especially in America, they're living in their little bubble, and they don't realize, like, yo, there's shit going on that you will never have to deal with. And they're dealing with it on a daily basis. So just please have
And
some
there's a
more
lack
empathy.
of course, and then there's a lack of context, I think, when people are trying to, when something happens in a situation and people don't take into consideration the experience of the other person
Yeah.
or the background of the other person, they don't, there's a missing context piece, right? Because, something that I've thought about is in that scenario, in a lot of scenarios, imagine if you are getting pulled over once a week. Let's not even say every day, like once
Yeah.
a week. All right. After 3 years, how many, what is it, like 52 weeks in a year or whatever?
Yeah.
So that's almost, it's like 150 times you've been pulled over after 2 or 3 years. At some, you're not going to have a bad day one of those times.
Yeah.
One of those times you're not just going to like be a little bit more frustrated than
Frustrated.
another time. And then they use that to be like they were being aggressive.
Yeah.
They were escalating the conversation. And you
Exactly.
know what? And you know what? Like maybe they were a little bit frustrated that day, right?
Right.
Like I think anyone, if you say, "Oh, cops pulled them over, they were a hothead," that's
Yeah.
what happens. Rewind that and say they've been pulled over once a week for 2 years,
Yeah.
and they finally got a little bit frustrated at
Frustrated.
it. Everyone would empathize and be like, "Yeah, that's some bullshit. Like, what the fuck's
Yeah.
going on?" Right now, I feel like that whole picture rarely gets captured
Yeah.
in
No,
those
because
in those scenarios.
and it goes back to the whole narrative thing, right? We don't it goes back to the point of how much responsibility as a user do we actually investigate and understand the situation? But because we don't, we just see something, and then we also attach it to whatever content creator is saying about it, and we think that's the truth, and nobody looks at any angles or reads into it or investigate where this information is coming from. People will just post nowadays. People just post videos that are old and just reiterate it that it happened recently. It's crazy. Like,
There's
yeah.
this thing I was wondering, your thoughts on. So, and it ties into what we were just talking about. Well, what you were just talking about, people
Yeah.
posting online,
Yeah.
fake information and claiming a different story. So, I think today, uh, social media or being on the internet, there's zero. We've removed the consequences of being wrong, and we've increased the reward of catching
Yes.
one.
Yes.
So I think this mixture has completely changed the psychology of the internet, and I don't think people have caught up to it yet.
Yeah.
Right. So like back in the day, if you were on the block, if you were, with your homies, whatever, anywhere you were, if you told some bullshit and they caught you, you'll get clowned on.
Yep.
That's a negative feedback loop. If you did it 2, 3 more times, then everyone would just be like, "Oh yeah, anytime homie speaks, he's just full of shit. Like
Yep.
he's cool, he can be around, but you never believe what this guy says.
Yep.
This guy's always
Yeah.
telling some
His
story."
reputation is
You
trash. Yeah.
exactly, you get identified and labeled, and then it takes a long time and a lot of work to get out of that,
Yeah.
if you ever do.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, people are always gonna be like, "I don't know, like that guy kind of."
Yeah.
Now on the internet, you can post every single day provable falsehoods, and there's zero consequence
Yep.
because if one of those posts go viral, you get a payout,
Yep.
you get retweeted by famous people, billionaires or whatever, and
People
it doesn't matter anymore everything else you said because you said this one thing that they like. So
Right.
that means there's zero consequence anymore. Like you're talking about like your reputation's trash. Like actually, there's no reputational hit to being full of shit because if you catch one, you now get this new reputation, new fame, new
Yep.
monetization methods.
Right.
It's
Because
completely there's no the even the established media gets caught up with like, well, that's fake news. Let's not watch CNN anymore, right? On X, for example, on Twitter, that just doesn't happen, bro. Because
yeah,
like you could just lie, and as long as eventually someone retweets you that has a big following, you're clean.
I think the yeah, I always think about this too because they're not now that there's literal people making careers off of this. Like they literally will wake up in the morning, they will pick up a phone, record their face, and talk bullshit all day because they know that it's going to you know engage with their audience. And it's so much to the point where even if they get called out, they still have a career. That's the crazy shit because
Nothing
people
changes.
nothing changes. People do not care about the truth. And it's interesting too because I noticed that it's almost like a race because once you say something about something, you already impacted those people. Even if you after the fact said that's fake, it already made the impact and that's what people are thinking about. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of a weird uh correlation to make with, but look at like guys that got their careers ruined by false essay accusations like sexual assault. Like if somebody was accused of sexual assault, whether it's an athlete or a celeb, it doesn't matter if they find out it's the truth later. Their career is already done. You know what I mean? And it's like that's how I feel about the news and what these people are doing. These content creators. It's like even if you call them out, it doesn't even matter because it said the damage is already done. People are gonna people. Yeah,
Let me ask you this question.
yeah,
So you're right. Like 5, 10 years ago,
yeah,
or 2016, 10 years ago, um, there was a fear because there was a strong internet movement that if you did anything wrong, it would impact you in real life,
right.
and that prevented people from speaking freely. And some bad people got caught up on that, and that's good. Those bad people should get caught up. And then some people that did things that were maybe awkward, but not maybe did not match the penalty of losing their entire career, losing their personal life. Like so, we swung the other way now, where you could actually just say anything and there's no repercussion anymore.
Yeah,
You're right that like the person you lied on, there's a repercussion for them, because they've been lied on, and that could influence them negatively.
yeah,
But the people making those claims, the internet streamer, influencer, the people that are online all the time, like there's no penalty
yeah,
to those people. And one solution that I've thought about, or a feature that I want, is regions in my social media. Like I don't care if there's well, actually, it wouldn't happen because I only live in poppin' areas. But it's like I want to just be part of, like, if you're not in the East Coast of
yeah,
America, I don't even want you
yeah. I don't
locked out of my life
I
because
don't care about your opinion, bro.
regional.
Yeah,
I want regional social media because at the end of the day, homeboy that lives in another country around the world
yeah,
can go post about anything that they want.
yeah.
And even if they get bullshit online, they can log out of Twitter. No one in motherfucking Mumbai or whatever knows
What's really
anything
going
about
on?
what you're
Yeah,
doing.
yeah, yeah,
There's zero consequence to them, and they're making money off of it. And to me, they're being detrimental to Americans, right? In a way that's impacting the American experience for the people living in this country. And I know the argument like, well, if you start region locking, then there won't be that many people, and
yeah.
content might be slower, staler.
Well,
I
that's why the
genuinely
choice
don't
is,
care.
but that's where the choice is important, right? Like, do you want access to that or not?
The
I think,
World Wide Web, or
yeah,
do you
yeah,
just want like, yeah, like for me, even just personally, like I'm only really interested, like Mondami in New York, I generally only want to hear negative or positive like thoughts on him
yeah,
to people that live in the tri-state,
yeah,
or like like I'd be curious about. I know I'm not living in the tri-state. I know you're not living in the tri-state, but like I'd be curious to hear people that have grew up and lived in New York for most of their life too,
Yeah.
because like there's a relevancy there. But for the most part, I only really want to hear from people that are really have to deal with the consequences of their
Yeah.
choices. I have zero interest in hearing about what somebody in another country thinks about the New York City mayor.
Or
Zero.
even somebody from
Zero
another
even
state.
know. Yeah, and even exactly. Even
Yeah.
someone from the state, I have zero interest
It's like, who
in
the fuck
what
are you to
somebody
talk
thinks
about
about.
our city? You know what I'm saying?
Bro, I have people in my town right now. Uh, just to reiterate, in social media, anyone can pop off, and when you have someone that's basically going to be mayor of one of the busiest, biggest cities in the world, New York City, naturally everyone, it becomes a national story and everybody wants to weigh in. I'm only really interested in hearing from the New Yorkers about what they think
Yeah.
because, when I'm in Texas and I'm in this like town and I hear people from this town bring it up, like I'd be like, I try to put them into perspective. Like, there's somebody in this town that I met, and we went out to eat once,
Yeah.
and we were in Austin, and they were like, "Oh, sometimes I'm nervous to be in Austin because there's so many people. It makes me feel claustrophobic." And
Okay.
just like then this person will turn around and be like, say something about New York, and I'm like, you really can't have an opinion in New York because like you're not even built for a city like you're nervous about
Yeah.
Austin, which to me
Also,
is a dead city. It's
right.
an empty city because I'm thinking about what it's like, and like you're comfortable living in like the middle of rural America.
Yeah.
You're slower pace. You care about complete like it's a different world, and it's like to me that person like you can have your opinion, but that opinion really should be worthless because it
Well,
kind of is worthless.
especially the fact
Period.
that you never been to New York. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't even know anything
Right.
about it, right? Like,
And I'll flip it.
yeah.
I'll flip it too. I have New York. I've lived in Texas for a few years now. I met some really cool people down here that lived a completely different life than anything I ever experienced in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
And they've shown me, they've like welcomed me, and they've
Right.
showed me sort of like what I would call like their culture. Like they're like we're all American, but like what it's like
Yeah.
growing up in like a more rural area of Texas. And quick story. I know people in New York City, uppity people especially, who are like, there's no reason to have anything beyond like a basic firearm. And
Yeah.
even that might be too much. Like
Yeah.
anti-weapon, anti-gun, they just don't want it. They don't see the value in it. I come down here and I meet people are like, yeah, I got 20 acres of land. I got a wild boar
Yeah.
that's like fucking 80 pounds. There'll be like 10 of them, 80 pounds.
Yeah.
They'll just run up and kill my animals, kill my crop, attack people. And the only way to take them down is with some sort of like rifle,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like we have to hunt them to keep. And it's just like, oh, if you're from New York, you can't even begin to even think what it's like to maintain 20 acres, to have
Right.
crops and animals, and then have other vicious.
Wait. Hold on one second. Your audio just stopped for some reason. I can't hear you. I think something cut off. Did the battery go out or something? That's so strange. Whoa. Yeah, hold on. Let's just back out the call and come back in. Give me a second. Hello?
Oh,
Yeah, there goes. Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
fucking weird.
Yeah,
Um,
your camera's
just
off.
to, oh shit.
Yeah. All
To
right.
take it back a few,
Yeah.
take it back a few seconds. you know, if you're from New York City, just to reverse it, put the reverse. If you're in New York City and you grew up in that environment, you have no ability to even understand what it's like to have a valid reason for
Yeah.
having a rifle or some sort of like powerful assault weapon. The one that I ran into that I didn't even know was a thing is I have friends that own 15, 20 acres of
Right.
land. They have crops, they have animals, and wild boar will just come and start destroying thousands and thousands of dollars worth of like product,
Yeah.
um, willing to attack humans, willing to like destroy property, and a little handgun isn't going to do nothing to that
Right.
animal, right? You have to like go out like and
You gotta,
and
yeah,
hunt them.
it's not built,
So
handguns are not built for that. Yeah.
so I totally understand why like somebody in New York has no business trying to influence the perspective of
National gun
responsible
law.
gun,
Yeah.
right? Exactly, ownership on somebody in Texas or
Yeah.
one of these other states. Like they that's sort of why America is great. I'll be honest with you, just to put a bow on it. Like, yes, we're all America and we're this like in theory unified country. I actually do think we're probably more unified than it feels. I think it's just the internet that pulls that like trick on us
Yeah.
because you got bastards in other countries just talking
Yeah.
bullshit. Most Americans I meet in person are kind of happy and like other Americans
Yeah.
generally. But then there's states where it's like, yeah, New York State should think about certain rules for New York, and
Yeah.
Texas should think about certain rules for Texas without them like interfering with each other. And
Right.
then you just go live wherever it's right for you to live. I think that part is awesome. And, you know, I would love that in social media. Like, just lock out everyone that's not
Yeah.
within a region that I care about.
I think the state right now it's pretty bad, and I don't see it recovering, especially when you got guys like Elon Musk that owns Twitter. I think a lot of the issues come from Twitter, to be honest, because I think Twitter's or TikTok as well, but I feel like Twitter's like the master of like not holding anybody accountable, even though they try to put features like community notes and where now they identify where these content creators regions is at. They're just not doing enough to it's like you said, it's the rewarding system, just people just rewarding bullshit. It's constantly keeping this whole thing. I mean, like the other day, talking about that, um I was talking to my Chinese friend that lives here now, and he's trying to live in Japan and trying to start his life here. Doesn't want to live in China, for his personal reasons. And I was just like, yo, let me ask this guy because I always see this on the internet, and I'm gonna be at fault. I'll admit fault here that I believed it at some point, you know, before. But uh, let me ask you: do you know about the social credit system thing, right, in China? Yeah. Oh wait, don't tell me the audio went out again. Hello? Yeah, it did. Oh my god, what the fuck is going on? Could you use not your headset possibly? Because maybe it's something with the Bluetooth issue.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
That's
yeah.
okay. We'll do it this way.
Yeah, so so yeah, so like you heard about that, right?
Yeah, I've
It's
heard people say that there's an automated social
social sys
score that if you do something bad, it'll automatically deduct, and then you might lose privileges
privileges.
throughout.
Yeah, like
Right.
even losing a job. I asked my boy, he said that's total bullshit. That does not exist. And it's crazy how much it's talked about and constantly like regurgitated because it's completely 100% fake. And I ain't gonna lie, I just believed it because I just saw it on the internet. You know what I'm saying? And you know, it's been people talk about it so much that it's like, okay, it got to be somewhat real, right? It's totally fake, and that's
There's a
yeah,
Yeah, that's a really good point about it being fake. I have two thoughts on it, but I think the one that's more important to say is Netanyahu. I think I'm saying his name right.
yeah,
Uh,
doesn't matter.
he'll sometimes do reports in English, like he'll do like news conferences.
Yeah,
And the thing that always stuck with me that someone taught me was they don't speak English every day in these
yeah,
other countries, China, Israel, and stuff. They don't speak English every day. That's not
yeah.
their
Main
first
language.
language.
Yeah,
So when a politician says something or when news is reported, basically when anything happens and they say it in English, you have to understand that it is propaganda because
yeah,
they're trying to say this to Americans.
yeah.
Because if they're trying to speak to their people, they would just say it in their own language.
Language, right?
So if a report comes out that China is announcing a new social credit system and the report is in English, then it's just someone trying to propaganda
Propaganda,
you,
yep.
because they would just say it in Chinese and you'd maybe never even hear about it. So, and here's my tinfoil hat. This is my tinfoil hat. Take it or leave it. Um, if somebody wants you to hear something, meaning they're saying it in a way for you to understand,
Yeah.
even though it's not how they would normally speak, then you have to question the motive behind it. And I think specifically for the social credit score, there's a desire for that to be done in our country.
Yeah.
So it's just getting you used to the idea, right? So it's like, oh, China is doing AI better than us. So we need to bypass all laws and regulations to make
Right.
AI. It's
Right.
just like they use these things as a way to bypass and expedite, their desire in America.
Right.
And it's not an actual valid,
Thing.
or it's much
Yeah.
more nuanced than what they want you to know.
Yeah, that's such actually an interesting point. Like, you never think about the language aspect because it's just like you just think people just know how to speak English. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't realize that that's all positioned for you as an American, as an English speaker to believe into that. Um, yeah, that's actually a valid point because, if going back to the social credit system, I never seen Chinese content creators talk about it. Like, I never see anything like, "Oh, look, this is what happened to this person." You know what I'm saying? Like, you never see Chinese people talk about it. And I was just like, "Yeah, I gotta ask my boy, like, this has gotta be bullshit." Because like because that's what initially made me ask him. I was just like, "Yo, wait a minute. I don't see anybody in China talking about this." Because you see so much content from China now, you know?
You have only seen Republican influencers use it as a talking point to say this is why we can't support no progressive policy,
Or like
because it starts
communism or
with,
socialism,
yeah,
blah
it
blah blah.
starts with paying for daycare,
Yeah.
and then it becomes nobody wants to work, and we have a social credit score. It's like, how the fuck we got there, right?
I don't know, but yeah, that's the thing that's really frustrating because and that's why I was glad that I'm glad that I asked my boy that because it's even though it's China and it has nothing to do with me, I don't really care what the reputation is. The truth of the fact is that's what they do to Japan all the fucking time. People make up shit all the fucking time. It's so crazy. Like the other day I was one thing I always loved is hearing the rhetoric of Japanese people will never show you their true feelings or tell you upfront about something. I'm just like, well, Americans do that all the fucking time. People talk shit about people never saying their true feelings. What's so fucking different? Like, and to be honest, living here, I never felt like somebody was like smiling in my face and then talking shit behind me because at the end of the day, everybody talks shit about each other. You know what I'm saying? Like it, it's so weird that they position that. Another one, I don't know if you heard this one, but like they say the cheating culture is very common here, that it's normalized or whatever in Japan, right? S- So the other day, my boy from the gym, he sends me like, like, "Oh, is this true?" And it's like, you got that stupid format like, did you know that, in Japan, cheating culture is very normalized, that everybody does it? So it's like, I'm just like laughing. I'm just like, all right, well, I'm like, all right, how about this, bro? I was like, how many of the guys in our gym cheat? He's like, oh, everyone. So it's like, what are you saying? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not a country thing. This is just humans thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't why you believe this bullshit? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because I struggle with messages like that and having conversations,
it's
because what
frustrating.
is normal, what is common, like these
Yeah.
are vague words that don't have. If 25% of Japan people are cheaters in relationships, I don't even know if that's a lot or a little bit compared to what?
Right.
Maybe it's 50 in America.
Yeah.
Maybe it's 75 in India. Like, I don't even, like, what are we? It sounds like a lot, but maybe it isn't, maybe it's not. And also, correlation is not causation. Like, because people are cheaters in a country doesn't really imply anything about that country
Right.
whatsoever. It could, is it an age thing instead? Is
Yeah.
it a cultural thing? Also, how are you defining cheating?
Cheating, right.
Because uh, maybe Japan is, this is all bullshit. Let's move it off Japan. Maybe a country is okay with open relationships,
Right.
and America is not. That's not cheating in that country now.
Country. Right.
Like maybe if we put our in America we love doing that too. We take our own definition and viewpoints, we apply them to other groups of people, and then we say they're good or bad based off if they meet our standards, even though they don't even. There's no reason for them to give a shit about our
Yeah.
standards. They have their own. They have their own motion right now.
Well, that's how I always see. I love when people talk about our current prime minister Takaichi. They always be like, "Oh, she's evil." Yeah, they're always saying, "Yeah, look, she's doing a great job in my opinion." But I don't want to get into too much in politics. But I will say, people associate conservative like far right being like MAGA. It's totally different in Japan versus America. Being conservative in Japan is totally different than America. We're not here creating an ICE department, tracking down people, just assuming based on race and then sending them back home, well, back into a country that's not even home that they don't know anything about. You know what I'm saying? Like, people need to really relax and stop associating your way of life to other country ways of life because it's totally different. She's doing a phenomenal job. She's fighting for our country. Just shut the fuck up. Don't worry about us, please, because that shit is so frustrating seeing that shit.
And that's why words are important. Where I say like I get hung up on these conversations because like for me to even have this conversation about conservatism in Japan, I
Yeah,
need to even understand like, well, what does conservatism even mean?
right.
Because that word in America is very different than that word in another country.
Yeah,
My understanding, and I could be completely wrong about this, my understanding is that in a lot of countries, not all of them, but like in a good amount, especially European countries, Democrats in America are considered conservative
yeah,
in a lot of other countries, right? It's just because we're just in a completely different realm with that
yeah.
than a lot of the world. Not all of the world, but a lot of the world. So yeah, man, it's like for me, it always starts with like the words that we're using. Do they mean the same thing to everyone in this conversation?
And usually it
We can
doesn't.
have we can have a conversation about conservatives in Japan, and then I could be like, well, I like Democrat, but and then we argue because you feel like you're conservative, and I feel like I'm progressive. But then if we stop and we talk about the actual policies, we might actually agree almost 100%.
Right.
Because in America, the word means different than
Yeah.
that word in Japan, as well as other countries and stuff. So it's like, what I always like to think, like, what do these words actually mean, and do
Yeah.
we all have the same understanding? Because that's a trick that bullshitters and
Yeah.
grifters use.
Yeah.
They'll know that a word is specific but vague at the
Yeah.
same time, and they'll use that to kind of like lure in their own
Right.
propaganda and their own bullshit.
Well, I'll talk a little bit truth here. So the big topic is ICE, right, in America, that people are being sent back even though they've been contributing to the economy. They have no history of crime. They just pick people just based on race. Like, it's clear racism. It's clear racial profiling. Right. Right. Now, people argue that that's what they're trying to do in Japan. That Takaichi and her team are being more strict on immigration, more strict on this stuff. So they're like, oh, they're just like America. What people don't realize is that uh, the previous two prime ministers prior to Takaichi, there was a guy named Kishida-san. Kishida was one of the worst guys that we've been having in this last decade. He was so corrupted. He was doing a lot of basically illegal stuff. One of the things he did was he immigrated a lot of quote unquote asylum seekers, which were totally did no vetting whatsoever. He did that, and they found out he just did that so he could pocket money. Now we have a whole bunch of these like people that are living in our country, not paying taxes, not abide like I'm not saying all of them, but there are, and I've seen it myself. I'm not even saying this because I'm seeing on the news, but like they're not doing what's the word? Integrating into the culture. You know what I mean? The other day, there's a prefecture called Saitama, which is very known for like foreigners. There's a lot of foreigners live there, And yo, I've been around a lot of cities here now at this point, and the first time I go there, I see a bunch of foreigner dudes. I'm not gonna say what country. They were just first of all, this was like right when kids were getting out of school. Bunch of them were just in fucking parking lot drinking alcohol out in the open. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, well, why do you think they don't want them here? You know what I'm saying? They clearly don't not working because what the fuck are they doing day drinking? You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, this is the result from a previous prime minister. And this is what they're trying to tackle. You know what I'm saying? This is totally two different things, but people don't know that. They don't know that what situation's going on. You know what I mean? The thing is, Japan has just been too soft. I mean, look at the fucking Johnny Somali situation. The guy just fucking terrorized the fucking country and got away with it because Japan is just too soft. You know what I'm saying? On that aspect of things, you know?
That's Johnny Tsunami was the influencer that went over there and was just harassing people,
Harassing
and then
people, yeah.
Korea,
Korea and he got locked up.
and then he found out.
Yeah,
He
he
found
found out.
out.
And that's my problem with that. Is it's like, yo, how many times people that are citizens here that are getting, prosecuted for doing bad stuff and following through with it, but when it comes to immigrants, they don't do shit. It happens so often because there's no policies in place to because it gets tricky, right? When it becomes people from another country, especially if they're visiting, it's hard for them. They don't have stuff. You have to be a little bit different on how you charge them because now other countries are going to get involved, right? The country that they're from. So I understand that part, but that's why we need people like Takaichi to be like, hey, we need to just change some stuff around because people are getting away with fucking shit. Another example. This is the last thing because I don't want to talk about political stuff, but they raised the business visa requirements. I think it was from like $20,000 that you need to have in capital. Now it's like $200,000 or something like that, and people are pissed about it. I'm like, well, if you look up in America to have a similar visa like that, you need at least 100,000. And you knowing business, and you're in the entrepreneurs space, it's like $100,000 for a business is not that much. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you think this is? A free ride? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is technically like like a soft power country. Like, we're not just. And then, to be real here, the people that are complaining about it, you're using that as a free ticket to get a visa. Let's be real. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like it. And the reason why this is happening is because, and again, I'm saying this because I know this from experience. I have friends that are, that are from a certain country. I'm not going to say that they told me, hey, if I know companies, quote unquote, that will let you pay them money to have a work visa. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they're battling. You know what I'm saying? It's not that they're trying to get rid of foreigners and they're trying to stop, business opportunities. It's because there are things that are happening that you're not even looking into it. You know what I'm saying? You just want to have what you were saying earlier, your American perspective and how things should be done. You know what I'm saying? You're implementing that. It's not about that. It's not about you. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah, and I'll say for sure, because I want to say that at least what you described,
yeah,
I 100% feel like I have heard, and there's probably some truth to the same thing happening in America with our
right,
immigration cases as
right.
well. And I think most Americans, well, I don't know about most Americans, the ones that I have met and spoke to, both in New York City and in Texas,
Yeah,
sort of share this perspective. This is like the overlap. I think it's where I stand too, which
yeah,
is you need some sort of immigration policy, and you need to be able to enforce that immigration policy.
yeah,
I do think the Trump administration, I don't want to stay on politics either. I
yeah,
do think that Trump's story around immigration hit a nerve in the country, and I don't think the problem is necessarily that they're trying to like address immigration in America.
yeah,
It's how they're executing
yeah. The
it,
execution's poor.
what they're like the memes online, raiding houses,
Yeah,
humiliating people, targeting actual US citizens,
yeah,
ignoring judge orders, sending people to basically the equivalent of like a death camp in other countries.
yeah,
It's not that it's it's annoying to be like, yo, I don't agree with that. People just thinking that you don't care about enforcing some sort of like immigration standard. It's
Right.
like, no, like I just don't agree with harassing and violating and
Right.
targeting people, right? I think we can be above that. I don't personally agree with quota-based systems in general. I
Yeah.
understand the power of a quota because it's like, yo, you have this many people and you got to hit a certain number if you want to deal with it. I understand the allure, but
Yeah.
it's problematic because anytime they say this in business, like anytime I'm going to butcher it, but it's basically like anytime you make something a metric, it
Yeah.
becomes a useless metric. Like the moment you say we got to get rid of X amount of immigrants, what's going to happen is the workers are going to stop looking for the hardest, maybe, and the hardest ones are usually younger and more criminal, and they're
Yeah.
hiding, they're sneaky, and they're willing to break the law to get away from you. You stop working for the hard, trying to catch the hard ones,
Yeah.
and you just try to catch the easy ones, which are usually vulnerable
Right.
people
Right.
that we actually
People
maybe
with
do think
families and stuff.
because all you care about is hitting a number. You
Yeah.
don't care about getting, like, if the metric was they have to be a criminal to get deported, I think you have zero people complaining.
Yeah.
Maybe you have a couple fucking losers, but you have nobody complaining.
Yeah.
It's when it's like, yo, this person's been here for 30 years, they're older, blah blah, they're part of the community,
Yeah.
like they're
They're
like they're
contributing.
trying to they're trying to do the process. You
Right.
you literally swoop them up from their fucking process hearing or
Yeah.
whatever, where they're trying. Yeah, it's just like that's the stuff that like you just look lazy and cheap,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. The execution is the issue here with America and Trump's administration. He has, I'm not a Trump fan, but he has he's doing the right thing because I think it did get too far to, to a point that there was, again, this might be all bullshit, but like, the whole I was seeing a lot of stuff, Venezuelans immigrating, and there was like a lot of like gangs coming in and stuff like that. I'm sure it's a lot of it's partly propaganda, but I heard stuff from New York, like people were saying like, yeah, people were getting robbed like more often and stuff like that. So I think there was a point where I don't know whose administration, I'm not going to say who, but it got a little bit laxed, and now they need to fix it. So
I think we have an immigration problem
yeah.
in America. I don't know. So I think that's where after that point, I disagree with the Trump administration. I agree that we have an immigration problem in this country. I think I
Yeah.
disagree beyond that point. I'm a little bit. It's really easy in a country as big as this to find 30 motherfuckers from a Latin American country that are on
Right.
bullshit and then being like, see, they're all on bullshit. And because they're all on bullshit,
Yeah.
we're gonna do whatever we want to them. So I'm
Right.
very skeptical of stereotyping any group because that's just an easy tool for propaganda.
Yeah.
But I do agree that there is a problem, and I don't agree that we're actually because even if I allow that narrative of like, well, these violent gangs are coming through, even if like I allow that to be like, okay, the way they're executing it, I don't even think they're solving that problem.
Yeah. Exactly. Right.
Even addressing that problem. So to me, it's just like even if I accept that story, they're fucking failing,
Yeah.
you know. And I don't accept it only because I don't put them above them to try to create a boogeyman so they can justify abusing,
Yeah.
basic human decency.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know there are people that are like, I don't give a fuck, just get them out,
Right.
break them out, do whatever. I just don't agree with those people.
Yeah.
Although I do agree that we should do something about immigration in this country.
Yeah. No, I think that's you hit it on the nail. I think that the story that they're pitching, the pitch, the sales pitch, it's not whatever they're executing is not doing. It's not solving that. It's just yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's yeah. I think you're right. They're just it's so easy to target some family guy that's just sitting around, working and doing his thing, and then just running up on him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Ver-
some guy at Home Depot who's just trying to do labor
Yeah.
to survive.
Versus you got people that are actually in the business of crime and they know how to maneuver, how to get away from cops and do all that. Like
And do shit
and
like we
And
won't take them to court. We'll try to ship them out before the court day,
yeah,
and not giving them the chance to even see if they were actually criminals or not.
yeah. Nah, it's crazy. I was watching this you should check it out. It's an interesting film. It's called The Blue Bayou. So it's basically this film about that exact thing about ICE, how ICE is affecting immigrants, and it was like this Korean dude that got adopted by a white family, and his parents at the time when they adopted him, they didn't do the proper paperwork, so the government had like a leverage to just send him back, and just like sending him back, he was adopted, like he doesn't know anything about his country or the language, and then it was a really interesting film, and then like, you look at the guy, he's just like he's like me, like you see an Asian face, but like I don't, you, but then when you see when as soon as I start talking, you're like, oh yeah, he's clearly American, he's from some part of America, so it's just like it's crazy how you see that perspective and you're like, yeah, you're just tearing families apart with no understanding of how much damage you're doing and actually fixing shit, you know what I'm saying? So, um yeah, you should check it out. It's called The Blue Bayou. It's a New Orleans film. It's a film that was set in New Orleans, but it's pretty interesting. But yeah, let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about non-political stuff. I wanna try to think about some funny stuff that I've seen recently. But you were mentioning you were um you were reading on Steve Jobs' book. I want to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah,
What's it called again?
that's a good question. Let me pull it up real quick because
Yeah,
I do think it was the best book that I read in 2025, so last
yeah.
year. Let me pull it
Yeah, I
up.
told my girl that I used to read, like, I haven't been reading a lot of books lately because I'm worried that my Japanese language, it would stunt my Japanese language. You know what I'm saying? So like, and I told my girl about it. Like, yeah, I used to read a lot of, I used to read like two, three books at a time. And she's like, oh, I don't believe you read books. I'm like, fuck yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm like a cheater. I'll read a book and then I'll also do audio books at the same time,
that's fine.
and I'll alternate between them.
Yeah,
No, it's just called Steve Jobs, and it's by Walter, some guy named Walter,
yeah,
something. Um, yeah, it's super long. It took me a bit to read it, but it goes through his entire life. It sounds like the last few years of his life, he just had this guy talk
just,
to him,
yeah, yeah,
and then Jobs gave that guy access to anyone he wanted to talk to in Jobs' like orbit. He's able to talk to the kids, the wife, executives of Apple, previous executives, early employees. Like he kind of just facilitated it.
right.
And Jobs was great because he was like, I don't even want to know what year. He was like, I don't even want to review it. He was like, maybe I don't even know if you ever read it. To be honest, he kept saying when it was done, I was like, oh, I'll read it in like a year. I don't think I could handle reading it right now. And I think at the end, Jobs asked him like, hey, did you say some bullshit about me in there? And the guy was like, yeah, I said some bullshit about you in there. And Jobs was like, this is why I love Jobs. He was like, good. If there's bullshit about me in there, then people will understand that you're telling the truth. Right? Because it was
Mm.
like, because if a book came out and it's like Jobs was a great guy and everyone loved him, everyone would be like, yeah,
Right, 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 right.
he,
Oh, that's what you mean by bullshit, like negative things.
yeah, by bullshit I meant like the
The bullshit that he
stuff he did.
the yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, and
That's real.
he understood that that was important for people to appreciate the life that he's lived.
Yeah,
That you can't even understand
yeah.
the stuff that he's done without taking it. Yeah, he was just. It's worth everyone, even everyone knows Steve Jobs, everyone understands Apple, but it's worth taking the time to just understand what basically is, in my opinion, the most durable and innovative company
Yeah.
in like I don't know, from my grandparents all the way to my kids, like just
I had a Mac.
in their
I had an
lives
old Mac.
all the way through.
Apple. What was it called? What was the original Mac desktops?
I
I think
had
it was Apple. Yeah, yeah, Apple.
had a G3, and I would go to his house when I was growing up, and
Oh,
he would
I
give me a
had,
Mac.
bro. I had the fucking the box, bro. I had the fucking box. There was this game that it was like a maze. It was fucking sick. I forgot what it was called, but yeah, I had the fucking the original. I don't think it was the first generation, but it was like probably like the second and third. I forgot what it was called, but yeah. But yeah,
I would say, yeah, in the Steve Jobs book, one
yeah,
takeaway that that impacted me, or that was interesting in me, is that and this is part of a larger story that maybe we can talk about someday.
yeah,
But I noticed throughout reading the book
yeah.
and even after the book that I was more myself in real life. I was
Mm,
showing up more authentically, and that's made me happier. And I've felt more energized by it. And it's funny because, like, you probably understand this because when we used to hang out and we used to run around, I was younger.
yeah,
So, like, you never saw a version of me that wasn't this, I don't think at least. But basically, I'm more of like a dick, more of like an asshole
yeah,
in
yeah,
everyday life. And it's not, I use that word very loosely because I don't think I'm a dick and I
yeah,
don't think I'm an asshole. I think I see things differently
yeah,
and I'm willing to be like, hey, that's not right.
yeah,
Or did you take this into consideration? And something about hearing how he viewed the world and how he navigated, it was almost a reminder or a wake up call or permission to just be like, hey, if you believe some things could be better, you have a responsibility to say something about it.
yeah.
And for as I've gotten older, and I actually blame leaving New York City for this, when I moved to Texas, Texas, Austin specifically, is very like hippie background, very weird, mellow, like it's a
Okay.
completely different culture. Very like self-help crowd is here,
Yeah.
very like meditation and Zen, and like
Okay.
that's the culture
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah. I didn't even know
I
that.
feel like parts of that helped me in my growth.
Yeah.
But something that I don't like about all that shit is that it's a easy way to become complacent. Controversial take to some people, I think, in that space. But I think if you get caught up in self help, you're on a fast track to being a fucking loser
Yeah.
who is complacent. And
Yeah.
it wasn't until first talking to a CTO friend of mine in
Mm.
New York City. He gave me some work like a year ago,
Yeah.
and he was talking to me, and I was just like, "Oh yeah, like I miss this energy." They're like
Yeah.
being able to just call someone, you're being a fucking idiot,
Yeah.
without thinking that they're going to go cry or you validated their
Yeah.
fucking space.
Like,
Because
go fix that shit, bro.
I'm not actually insulting you when I say, yo, you're being fucking stupid.
Yeah.
This is not an attack on you. This is
Yeah.
just how we communicate in a way that just expresses that like what you're doing is wrong and we
Yeah.
should do the right thing.
It's like you're
And
bugging out, bro.
yeah, the Steve Jobs book really reminded me of that
Yeah.
and woke that up within me. So that was like one takeaway from the book for me. It was just like the permission structure
Yeah.
in a very like reasonable way as to like the benefits of sometimes being difficult. I'm
Yeah.
not saying being mean. I'm not saying he was also mean at times, like a lot
Yeah.
of times. Like sometimes he'd go too far, but there really is some value to like being willing to challenge, being willing to be challenged, and being okay with like confrontation. And someone just like I say aggressive, but it's so weird for me because growing up in Brooklyn, when you grew up in Brooklyn, I grew up in the Heights. You know, I guess you can technically look at those interactions we had with people
Yeah.
as very aggressive confrontations, but I never felt like they were aggressive growing
Yeah.
up. It was just like, you
That's
just
just
kind of
how, yeah, that's just how you that's how you just handle
it's just
yeah.
kind of like what it was, and
Yeah.
I feel like my light got dimmed when I moved down here.
Mm.
And the book was the best example of just like reawakening that light.
Yeah.
And maybe one day we can talk about like why I think self-help, too much prescription of self-help is actually a coping mechanism for you to be mediocre.
Right.
Have a whole thoughts on all that stuff.
Well, it's interesting that you brought that up because I was literally just on the phone right before this cast with my boy, and he has his own company. I'm not gonna say who it is because obviously if it gets to them, it might cause a little bit of rift. But like, this is something that I'm dealing with myself, but I kind of learned how to maneuver around it. But he's having issues with his partner because like when times comes to get shit done, it feels like he's doing everything on his own, and he feels like an asshole for calling him out. But I'm just like, that's just how it is being a leader. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to make decisions that is you're not gonna make everybody happy. Somebody within the group or the other person is not going to agree with it. But if you have a vision, if you have your plan and your way of doing things, especially if the person's not in it as much as you are. I mean, I think you probably have this experience all the time. How many times as an entrepreneur you notice everybody just doesn't have the same energy and excitement or enthusiasm about working, at your shit. You know what I mean? Like at this project or this thing that you're working on. Like I noticed that right now what I'm dealing with. Like I notice my colleague is, you know, he values his weekend time. You know what I mean? Like he needs to make sure once he's done with work, that once he's on his weekend, he needs to do what he wants to do, like, go out and socialize. That's totally fine. But I realize that the way I work is when I get free time, just like today, I like to spend that extra 3, 4 hours working on my stuff because I need to sacrifice that in order to get shit going, right? And not everybody's gonna think like you. And once you start displaying how you feel, how you move and maneuver, that's when people think you're a dick. And the reality is to get all this stuff done, you have to, you know, sacrifice the time and enjoyment and tell them, hey, look, we need to get this shit done. You need to stop doing what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Or you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing. You need to do this. But people don't want to hear that. It goes back to the whole like self-help thing, you know what I mean? Like they're content of just being like, "Oh, I'm okay with this. I'm okay with, my usual stuff. I don't want to sacrifice my time." You know what I mean? I was telling my girl the other day that cuz he asked me the question the other day that was really interesting. Are you happy in Japan? And I told her like, "I'm happy here, but I not happy like how I had my life in Brooklyn." Why? Because when I was in Brooklyn, I had my job at the boxing gym. It was such a great job to work at. Shout out to Sweatbox Brooklyn. I walked to work. I was working on my DJ stuff. You know what I'm saying? I was super happy when I was there. I had to sacrifice all of that. Why? Because I didn't want to be content. I want to have a family. I want to have my own business. I want to do all this stuff. That's why I moved here. So, me being here is not about me being happy. It's me being able to have the opportunity to set up and start up shop. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I know that at some point, once I figure everything out and set my foundations, I'm gonna have that energy back again. But I think people, when they want to get into the entrepreneur space, they don't realize that you have to sacrifice that. You have to just be like, yo, yeah, I worked the 8 hour shift, I worked a 10-hour shift, but you're gonna just have to do a little bit more during your free time. You know what I mean? You can't just do the usual stuff that you want to do. But I think that's part of the why people think you're a dick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you 100% that you have to understand other people's sort of like levers, like
Yeah.
what motivates them, what demotivates them, what's their work style. You have to understand that like
They're not
not
you.
everyone is going to put in the same effort
Yep.
that you're trying to put in, and um, that can cause friction.
Yep.
That is going to make people sometimes view you as a dick
Yep.
for sure. I also just think sometimes people just don't like being challenged or questioned,
Right.
even if it doesn't matter how you do it.
Yep.
So you do tricks to try to avoid that confrontation.
Yep.
But and this is getting super complex. Like I feel like there's so much nuance in my head when I view stuff like this
Yep.
that's hard to express, but I'll try my best to do it real quick. I think some of it is skill. All right, like uh, stop viewing everything as I'm putting in 40 hours, so you have to put in 40 hours. I actually
Right.
think it's useful to be like, what value what does winning look like with this partner? I'll give
Yeah.
you a quick example. Right now, I'm trying to build a startup in the construction industry.
Yeah.
Uh, Really interesting technology that I'm building out right now.
Yeah.
It's like this agentic experience. It's going to help people bid more so they can win more contracts. Really cool shit. I'm doing the majority of the work, the building,
Yeah.
the planning. I have design experience, I have product experience, I have engineering experience, I understand technology well, I understand building software well. I'm doing the majority of the work. I
Right.
have a 50-50 partnership with a co founder who has 25 plus years, 20 years or whatever experience being a general contractor building high-end residentials. You know what he does for me? He sits down with me whenever I need him to, and he tells me everything he does that is a pain in his ass. And he says, I would pay so much money if someone solved this problem for me.
Right.
But by solving that problem, you have to take into account labor, estimations,
Right.
codes. Oh, here's a list of all the codes. He's not putting in the same hours as me today, but he's bringing so much knowledge that I'll never be able
To
to.
do it
I
yourself.
can't build what I don't
Can't
know.
you can't even
Because
you can't even conceptualize that. Yeah.
I can't. I haven't been doing this
Yeah.
for over a decade. Like if so, to me, I started viewing partnerships as, can this person bring something to the table that I can't do? So as long as he gives me all the knowledge in construction today, we're
That
golden. As the business matures, more responsible. Like maybe he can do sales and he
yeah.
can go like he can demo because he can speak the language better than me.
Right,
So
right.
I think that's one nuance. Is like, all right, knowing being value based in your relationship versus like transact. Like, what's the value that we're
Yeah.
exchanging here? Because then it's like, yo, I don't care if you work weekends or not, as long as you bring the value that I need in order for this business to go to the next level.
Right.
But then so that's one side of it. Then the other side of it is also like knowing how to navigate people. And I think
Yeah.
this is where experience for me helped me. Early on, I used to know that confrontation isn't desirable because it's uncomfortable. And I would frame that question of like, hey, are you going to be able to get this done by
Yeah.
this week, in a way that would give people rope. And I had to learn, this is where like being an asshole comes in. I
Yeah.
had to learn to just like cut out the rope.
Mm.
Oftentimes I'll start a text like this, bro. I'll be like, my default text would be like, hey, we have to sync this week to talk about these plans. Do you have time? I understand that,
Or you're busy.
you might be with work, but
Right.
let me know. We can find some
Yeah.
time. Then I'll stop and I'll remove all that shit and just keep, we need to meet this week to review these plans.
Yeah.
Because what I'm doing is I'm giving someone a door
To say yes or
to
no.
procrastinate.
Yeah.
Exactly. And like, maybe I'm a dick, but in order for the business to succeed, we can't lose another week
Yeah.
because you could
Exactly.
minutes. So I just learned to stop giving people that rope and just set a clear
Yeah.
expectation. Like, because what ends up happening is people are not dumb. If you frame it like, yo, we need to meet this week and it doesn't happen, they know there's a miss. And I may just let it go. But 2 or 3 times, now you've built enough of a case to be like, yo, can we have a conversation? Because what are we doing?
Yeah.
Right? Like we're not, this is not working. How could we make this work?
Yeah.
Should we switch to Zoom? Should we blog? Should we do this, that? Do you want to share back? You want to sell me back your shares? Like whatever it is. But like I think that's where what I call like being an asshole did come from me is that
Yeah.
like I've been around enough interactions to know what are the traps, and I communicate very clearly to avoid getting into those bullshit situations. And sometimes that can feel uncomfortable with people.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and now here's the funny part. I don't like working. I do work weekends, but I sacrifice a lot of work time to be with my family. I put my kid to sleep. I take my kid to school.
Yeah.
I cook dinner in my house every day. Every day I cook dinner. I've learned how to make mad good food. Now, like it's crazy.
Oh,
Like
I love to eat some of your food, bro.
you know, when we link up, I'll make you some like.
Yo, and
I want us to link up for like a week so I can cook
yeah,
different foods.
my bad to cut you off, but like you actually have a good natural understanding of cooking. Because when you made that fried chicken one time, bro, that shit was like I was like really impressed.
Good, I don't know what it is. I have good food intuition.
Yeah.
have no proper skill. I just eat a lot.
I think that's the engineering in you. I think you just know how to follow instructions very well. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and then like the product side of me is like being critical, where it's like
Yeah,
I know I followed the instructions,
yeah,
but man, if this just had this,
yeah,
or
yeah,
just
yeah,
switch this. But just to close my loop real quick, I value that free time and I won't sacrifice it.
yeah,
So part of me being a dick is also being like I'll say this to your friend who values their weekend.
yeah,
Uh, you would benefit from being direct and clear in your communication, because if you want to protect your time, then you don't have time to waste.
yeah.
So like
Exactly.
I don't like the bullshitting around, and I'm direct because I don't want to be like, oh, I said we couldn't meet this week, and now he hits me back saying the only day he can meet is Saturday. Like
Yeah.
I'm trying to take the kids to the
Kids on
park.
Saturday,
Nah,
right?
like we're meeting at this time because
Yeah,
that's what the business needs. And if I give you room, you're just gonna. I'm the one who ends up having to fucking sacrifice shit later
yeah.
because you're not on point. It's like, nah, like we got to get our communication on point.
It's funny because that's exactly what I was dealing with before with my guy, but now I'm understanding how to work with him a lot better. Um, I totally understand the whole week thing because like you think, oh yeah, we'll just push it on for next week, but that becomes a lot of time because you're an adult, you have a lot of shit to take care of, not just only your work, but stuff at home. There's just a lot of things that come into play. But it's funny, like you said, I used to have the rope. So I would be like, yo, I know you're busy. I know you need to like, you got shit to do, but like, can we do blah, blah, blah? And like giving that kind of like leverage. But now I know him so well and he knows me so well. He had actually told me one time at a bar, we were just hanging out. He was just like, yo, just blow my phone up. I don't care. Like, just blow my phone up. Just put me in check. It's fine. You know what I mean? Because I was so worried about pestering him because I have past experiences I had when I was doing other stuff with other people that I was just worried that I don't want to tarnish the friendship. But I realized that that's how he works. He works based on like being like, yo, what the fuck? Let's go. Let's go. Let's make this happen. You know what I mean? Like he
That's
needs that.
valuable to,
Yeah.
because I do the same thing too. I was talking to someone the other day and I said, hey, I just want to let you know you have full permission to just blow up my phone. Don't take it any way.
Yeah.
And I explained to that person, for me, it's because you send me a message, and this is maybe not great on
Yeah.
my end. You send me a message, I read that text. With all due respect, you're competing with every other
Person.
optimized distraction on my phone. And I may have said, yo, I'll use your example. Oh, I'm gonna reply to Mikey in a minute.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And I look up, I look down, and now I'm on fucking TikTok or YouTube.
yeah.
And I'll forget it. Or I'm fucking trying to cook food for the kid. I'm trying to help him with his homework.
Right.
I see you texted me, and then I might even say something, but then I get distracted. So like
And
for
that's
me,
normal. That's perfectly normal, by the
that's
way.
normal because yeah, and that's why for me, I actually take the time to tell people like, don't feel weird, like being pushy with me.
Yeah.
I'm a big boy, even if it makes, to be honest, that shit makes me mad uncomfortable. I don't like being pestered, but I take it because I know that I come with this distraction
Yeah.
that in my life. So I know that like I have to eat a little bit of shit if I don't reply back to somebody.
There it
That's
goes.
just kind of like the way that it is.
I'm taking
And
that
so
I'm taking that as an invitation. Now I'm blowing your phone up crazy.
well, whatever, I try to reply, but like,
Yeah, no, no,
so
no.
I text crazy too. I'm also
Yeah.
a crazy texter. Just a quick story. You know this, but it came to me like I'm a crazy texter. Um, Once you were texting me some very specific topic, a very like important conversation. I know it's not important, but
But
like
it was like
like
we got
it
into
was
like a deep
important
conversation or
and stuff
something.
like
Okay.
that. Yeah, and then you just get a reply from me that was just like something absolutely crazy,
Yeah, I was just like, what the fuck?
some like crackhead shit, and you like called me out on it, and I was like, "Yo, what the fuck's the problem?" Just texting you some shit, and the disconnect was that like I wasn't even using my texting app.
Yeah.
I was like doing some bullshit. I was like, "Hey Siri, fucking text this shit to
Right,
me."
right, right, right.
And I do that too. Sometimes I'll be on IG and I'll just click share and your
Yeah.
name will pop up and I'll click send. So I'm not even following the thread of the conversation because I'm doing these things async, and like I understand fully that can be confusing
Yeah.
or it feels like I'm ignoring you or I'm not trying to have. I know how that looks. that's why I'm okay if
Yeah.
someone is like, "Dude, what the fuck?" So I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, that's on me." Like, I take responsibility for my behavior in that way. But it's just like, so it's good that that person said that to you, because I do think that's the other side, is
Yeah.
not just understanding how other people work, not just being in values based relationship, but also communicating to the other person that, like, here are my boundaries and
Yeah.
it's okay to cross
Yeah.
in this area, but maybe it's not like that person is probably like, text me and blow me up, but please, if we could avoid meeting on a Saturday.
Right. 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 Yeah. I mean,
Start learning how to use that person's time
yeah.
in a way that maximizes the leverage and the return on the business.
Well, you see, and that's the interesting thing, because then one day, I, we were trying to do like the time that I get out of work, right? And I was like, oh, that's perfect timing for me because I get out of work. Even though I work long hours, I'll be able to push in like a 30-minute hour call. But I failed to realize that this guy still works on New York time. You know what I'm saying? And who fucking wants to talk right before they start work? You know what I'm saying? Like getting up and then like getting started ready for the day. You don't want to start a meeting at that time. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you, but that's the key part. It's just communication. You know what I mean? Just letting them know, like, hey, listen, this is what's going on, and just seeing it, just to go there and see it, right? Because I saw how the type of work he does. It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? I see why you don't want to do shit after work, or you want to talk, or want to spend time on the weekend. It's pretty nuts. And on top of that, you're doing work, from 8 p.m. to like 6 a.m. It's pretty tough. So I understand that, and you know, yeah, it's. I think that's very important for an entrepreneur, because I feel like I used to make the mistake of like, why aren't they working like me? Like, why are they not thinking like me? Why they don't have that work ethic with me? And it's just like, once you start doing that, then you're looking like, not only it's not even looking like a dick. You're just looking very selfish at that point. You know what I mean?
What's the saying? Comparison is like the thief of joy. Like, why aren't they like me?
Yeah.
And that's something I've had to learn too. Anyone finds himself in that situation, what I try to do is say this. One, always ask yourself, do I still want to be in business with this person? Do I still want to do this?
Yeah.
Because if you don't, just leave. Like,
Yeah.
okay, but you do. Okay, cool. So what do? You ask, how could I use this person's like unique position, whether if it's skill, time, availability, whatever, in a way that helps move the business forward.
Yeah.
So instead of being like, why aren't they like me? How could I best use this piece? Right? It's
Right.
like,
Whether it's like
so stupid.
information or like, right.
Not so stupid. That's like, this is like the stupidest comparison, but it's how my brain works. If you're a fire Pokemon, like if you're like a fire, you don't get mad because a water type can't do fire blast.
Right.
You just wait until a rock type appears, and then you use the
And
water's ability.
initiate them.
So
Yeah.
it's like people come with good and bad, and as a business owner, we have to try to think about how could I put this person in a position to win,
Yeah. It's
right?
so
Like,
trippy, man.
yeah, because if you put them in the wrong position, you're gonna get frustrated, but
Yeah.
also it's like
Doesn't
you're
make
not using that talent
It's
in the
not
right
a
way.
yeah, it's not efficient. It's so trippy that you're saying that, because it's exactly what I'm going through, and I'm learning it like in real time, and it's like, you know,
That's leadership, by the way. When we think about like good managers,
yeah,
that's what a good manager
yeah,
is using people the right way so that they feel fulfilled, but then
right,
the business moves forward.
right, right, right. Because the reality is everybody's different. You know what I mean? You can't you your experiences are never going to be the same as the other person. How you treat things, like, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, you can't expect the people to be like you, and that's the part that made me
I'll
realize.
even say, I even say that's desirable, brother, because um, nothing's a better feel. There's very few things that feel as good.
You know,
There's probably a couple things that feel better, but like something that feels great is when you partner with someone and they execute at a high level at something you would never be able to do.
right?
That's like to me one of the best feeling. Like when like I'm an engineer, so I can build stuff, but I'm not great. I know how to do design, basic design work from building a lot of products, but I'm not super artistic.
Yeah,
When I work with a designer, that does something that like a crazy motion video with amazing graphics and a great
Yeah.
story. They did the script and it's like amazing piece of like footage. I'm like, I'm so happy that I'm working with you because like you brought something that we just were not able to
Right.
accomplish. That feels super cool.
Bro, I'll give you a great example. I was literally just on the like I said, I was on the call with my homie earlier. He's a designer. He's a graphic designer. He's really good at motion design, graphics design, branding, all types of stuff. So, part of just catching up, I approached him because I really want him to get into the branding aspect later on into the thing that I'm trying to build for the e-commerce because I want to reach out to clients that are brands that want to like I want them to take it to the next level through merchandise, right? But anyway, my approach was that he works as a creative director, right? That he basically leads Manny. You know Manny, right? And because Manny has good potential, but he just doesn't have the academic discipline of for design. You know what I mean? He's more of an illustrator. So like going into this e-commerce things, we need imagery, we need vision for the marketing aspect. So the guy knows all that. So I wanted him to be a creative director. But as we were talking, he was explaining about his life situation, and I was like, damn, I can't really approach to him anymore because he's in this transition in his life that kind of he's trying to get away from. So I was just like, I told him straight up, I was like, you know what? I'm going to explain what I want to do with you, but I think it's not the right time to do it with you. But you know what? He gave me a better solution. He was like, yo, just have Manny email me whenever he has something done and I'll give him advice. And I was just like, yo, that's the best way to do this because now I don't have to hire him. You know what I mean? Of course, I'm going to hit him off with something. I'm going to either give him money or, just get him some cool stuff from Japan or whatever. But this is like
Different than paying
him
someone.
on payroll. And then I was just like, of course, I told him though, like, if this does blow up, the day that this does blow up and, we got some real shit, I still want you to consider it. But right now, this is the perfect way of doing things. And I was just like, wow, it worked out better in my favor in this sense. And it goes back to the whole thing of like understanding how to initiate certain things. He gave me the answer so much better. Just email him, you know what I'm saying? Rather than just trying to do meetings and have these conversations, try to, set time, just send a meeting. He'll just hit back Manny whenever he can and he'll get the feedback that he needs and Manny will be able to execute. So it's, yeah, sometimes you have to kind of like look from from a third person view instead of just how you think of things. Because, I think as a business person, it's, you're trying to execute things the way you do it. Sometimes you have to like look at, and then it goes to that conversation. You have to just see what they're doing and, put them in the right spot. Like it's like a chess piece, like you said before, like don't think from the surface area. See how you can put them in the most comfortable place, but the most efficient way. And yeah,
Yeah,
you hit it on the nail with that one.
yeah, that's why it's really important to understand like what is it that I want out of this situation
Yeah,
or what does the business need in this situation? Because if you can get really good at identifying what the business needs in a very like first principles clear way,
yeah,
then you can open yourself up to new possibilities that could accomplish that
yeah.
versus this one very strict
Way
way
of
of doing it
think
that
things. Yeah,
just happens to be the way that you know, but it doesn't really have to
to
be
be
that
that
way.
way for other people. Yeah, it works for you, but it doesn't necessarily means it works for everybody else. Yeah,
And in both scenarios, you get the same goal,
yeah,
right? So it's
yeah,
like that's why it's good to just be like the goal is what's important.
yeah.
How we get there, can look different.
Yeah, man. I definitely let me know. I'm definitely talking about construction actually. Yo, I wish you could like live here long enough to see how things are done here because it's insane. Like
All
Japanese
of this.
construction, yeah, Japanese construction is so crazy because I don't know how they work so fast. Like, yo, when we were living in fucking New York, what was that? It wasn't the FDR, it was the Queensbridge Expressway, right? That fucking shit, the fucking the highway that's like above Sunset on 4th Avenue. That shit was on
Yeah.
construction for like as long as I fucking lived in like lived in that area. You know what I mean? Like, or as long as I've been in downtown Brooklyn.
Like 10 years to like open up like 3 stops on the R train after the flood. It was
Right.
just like, yeah,
It's
dude,
crazy. Yo,
shit takes fucking
I
forever.
was live so my girl lives in this town called Asagaya, right? And she moved there, let's say she's been there for like at least a year. When we first started like going over to her place, there was an empty lot for a hospital. And literally it got this I think it was like 20 stories high. It just literally just got built like right after the summer. You know what I'm saying? Like it's crazy. And I work at a place right now, it's under construction. Like the building's like there's just getting a lot of work done. And bro, I never seen so much organization. I thought my vision of like construction sites is just messy. Like things over here, things over there, tools all over here. Bro, they have everything organized. They even have like what type of like waste each one is labeled, and it's like lined up so well. Like, bro, I wish you could see it because now that you're in this space, you really got to see how they work out here because it's fucking nuts. Like,
We need a, I mean, I want to visit just in
yeah,
general, but we need a compelling reason to do business. Like I would love to own and or live or vacation there every year.
yeah,
So we need to come up with like a strong reason enough, whether
right, right,
it's whatever, but like, cause that's like, I
I,
mean,
I,
we lived together for a while. We've been
yeah.
friends for a long time. I have what I view as a healthy respect of Japanese culture.
Yeah.
So it's one of my dream places to go visit and see and eat and like just
I
experience.
I truly believe where we're at in our lives right now, I believe that once we figure that thing that's our start, like our real start in entrepreneurship, we'll have more than enough capital to come up with something that it may not bring as much money as our main thing, but it's bringing us money and giving us a reason to do something. So, um, yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen at some point. I think it's just a matter of how fast we can do it. You know what I mean? Because I want you to come here. I don't want to be like in our retirement and doing these things. Which is
No way. I
yeah,
actually want to help. Like, I still have an idea of like I don't know how the home situations are out there, but
yeah,
like invest in some multifamily and you have a spot, you like it, it's your spot, your girl, you start your family, but then there's a spot on another floor that's like, oh yeah, Lou can come vacation. That's
yeah.
his spot. He helped pay for the bill, like he's paying, he's doing his part, but that spot I can just come visit whenever and like so it's
I
like it's
mean,
right there.
I always dreamed. So like I was working in my last job.
I'll be like the other immigrants there. I'll be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I'm not fucking leaving."
Yeah, I was work my first job here. I was working building maintenance for my cousin. So it's like from cleaning to just fixing up like lights fixtures, just making sure the building's all like top shape or whatever. And I noticed that every building that has like an owner, they always live on the top floor and it's a little bit more nicer. And I always had this dream of like, yo, it would be fucking dope if we had like a building, not thinking crazy, like a 3, 4 story building, and maybe like, I don't know, maybe let's just say like 10 units or whatever. But those 10 units are like 3 of them are like our friends that, are just paying their like quote unquote timeshare or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And the rest we just rent.
That's the thing, right?
Just have like a small village.
Yeah, just own a unit, have a building, and
Yeah,
it's just like, yeah. So anyway, there's a lot of ways, but you're
yeah,
absolutely right. Where it starts with us continuing on our hustle,
yeah,
so that we can build the freedom and wealth that we can kind of like just make the kind of life
yeah.
we want to live.
Yeah,
You know what I
man.
mean?
Yeah, I can't. I'm waiting till the day you get here because there's so much shit that I want to show you. It's gonna fucking blow your mind. And you never been to Japan, right?
Nope,
Bruh,
nope, nope.
bruh, it's gonna change your brain chemical, bruh. It's crazy, bruh.
I'll be honest with you, I got to do a marathon because I actually feel like we should do Hawaii for a little bit and then
Oh
Japan.
yeah, yeah, that would be fucking
I've
dope.
never been to Hawaii, but I always obviously like I met your friends when they came to
Yeah,
visit Brooklyn all the time, and then you're always telling me stories of Hawaii too. So
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like, I want
yeah,
to do
nah,
Hawaii,
yeah,
Japan.
yeah. It's at least Hawaii right now in my current situation, it's a little bit challenging simply because I'm getting ready to move. But I think after that. that's the type of thing I could start planning on, especially if like I'm seeing some consistent. Right now, my goal for my thing that I'm doing right now, as long as we see consistent consistent money profit that coming to us. It doesn't have to be like, $5,000, $6,000 a month, but it's like something extra that I could use that just for vacation. You know what I'm
Sure.
saying? So once that start happening, yeah, you'll definitely see me more often for sure. Um, but yeah, you definitely got to go to the island. I had all my homies there. We had last time I was there, we had a barbecue. You know what I'm saying? So I just got there from last. I was there with my brother, my mother, and his wife. He that he- we did a Christmas thing. That's how I got my hoodie from him and shit like that. But
Mhm.
you should hit him up, see if he has an extra one. He had extras. You should reach out to him, see if he still has that sale, because I know you could afford it. So, and he's gonna
Yeah.
definitely look out for you because he knows you. So
Yeah, I'll
yeah,
text him and ask him. Well, I'll DM him on IG. Yeah, I thought
yeah,
that would be. I was like, oh, that should be perfect in Texas.
yeah,
Camouflage green.
yeah. Yeah, it's a box
All
logo.
right.
So, but yeah, yeah, we could,
Starting to fade a bit.
yeah, we could call it. Yeah, we could call it here. We did a good amount of time. I think this was actually a good session, honestly. But yeah, we'll touch base later, and I'll get on to making these clips. I'll definitely expose your hair right now later.
I don't care, man. I've been married forever. I've been dating this girl for.
Yeah, man. But yo, it was good talking with you, brother. I really enjoyed the
Yeah,
session, man.
let's wait someone to do another one. I'm not saying we gotta like hit it back or run it back right away, but
Yeah,
it's always fun. It's just always fun
yeah, yeah,
to
yeah.
talk
I mean,
just more.
look, it's kind of like the theme of the conversation, our podcast. It's just a matter of understanding each other's times and stuff like that. Because it was a little bit busy for me as well, just with the trip and all that. So don't worry, you're gonna hear from me. I'm gonna bother you.
All right, man.
Yeah,
Take
we'll
care. I'll
talk.
talk to you soon.
All right, take care, brother. Peace.